Hi, everyone, and thank you, Nordic Forum, for having me among these very distinguished speakers on the theme of peace and security. I've got 10 minutes, and I intend on using them to talk a little bit why I think there is something rotten in the state of the world today, but also why I think we here, just as Margot said, are the chosen ones to clean up the mess. I'm going to talk a little bit about what me and my organization have tried to do in order to tidy up, my best cleaning tips, if you like. But I'm also going to talk a little bit about gardening and picking flowers. I would like to start off with asking you all a question. What makes me feel safe? What makes you feel safe? You can even close your eyes for a while. What makes you feel safe? What I'm really asking you to do is to take your own life, your own experiences, your own security and safety seriously. One thing's for sure is that no matter where in the world you ask this question, the answer is most often the same. It boils down to our basic needs and our loved ones. I may be one of the younger speakers here, but I stand on the shoulders of many women before me. My organization turns 100 years next year. I'm the Secretary General of the Swedish section of Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, or IKFF, as it's called in Swedish. And we've been asking this question for about 100 years. We've been asking questions that take women's lives and experiences seriously. And the answers we've gotten have been very much similar to what Margot just spoke of. It's been the story of another kind of war, another kind of armed conflict. But the war on women and women's bodies is constant. It doesn't only happen in wartime. Or as Cynthia Enlow, who's somewhat of my all-time hero, she's here at the forum, you should take every opportunity you can to listen to her. As she says, militarization happens in peaceful societies. Militarization happens in peaceful societies. So, what is militarism? I'd say it's a process of normalization of how we think of power, of how we think of violence. Or again, as Cynthia puts it, it's a bouquet of everyday thoughts. We stop reflecting over the fact that our government, in my case the Swedish government, spends billions and billions now on developing a new fighter jet. At the same time, outside here in the square, we have an uproar among midwives saying that our workload is too big. We actually fear for women's lives here in Sweden giving birth. That's the yellow flower in my bouquet. Being from Sweden, I also represent the third largest arms selling country in the world per capita. The only two countries that beat us are Russia and Israel. Why isn't there an outrage, you'd say? Why isn't there an outrage that we're selling guns to countries that commit gross violations on democracy and human rights? Again, I'd say it's normalized. It's become a question of economics. We're working on cleaning up that mess too, but till then, it's the red flower in my bouquet, because it is tainted by blood. The UK is not a Nordic country, but I'll use that as an example anyway, because it's a country that's been hit by the economic crisis. And as many of you here know, the crisis has a feminine side. The cuts are being made in typical female jobs, and it's women trying to cope when the system fails. So, UK is interesting because it's also a state armed with nuclear weapons. And I hope you'll allow me a little detour here on nuclear weapons, because they're very interesting in understanding this link here between militarization, ideas of masculinity, and power. States that possess nuclear weapons, that are armed with nuclear weapons, they hold us all hostages. Even a small war between two nuclear-armed states, like, say, India and Pakistan, which is not extremely unlikely, would cause such climate change that a large proportion of the world would starve to death. There would be such big clouds and ashes. A report indicates that 2 billion people would die, including the people already living on the brink of starvation. Do you know what one of the party leaders in India said after they had detonated their first nuclear charge? He said, "We had to prove we're not eunuchs. We had to prove we're not eunuchs." Now, if you're a curious person, and I'll go back to Cynthia, she encourages us all to be curious, then you would perhaps ask questions such as, why did he feel he had to prove his masculinity? And why does he link it to big guns and power? I'd say it's the epitome of the ruler and ruled that still builds our society, and militarism is the fertilizer, or I'd prefer to use the word dung, perhaps. Anyhow, it's the purple flower in my bouquet. So, back to the UK, remember where I was? Economic crisis, women's security, feminine side. So, what the UK feel that they probably need to do amidst this economic crisis is to spend some more money on their nuclear weapons. Apparently, they need renovating. So, what to do? All countries that have nuclear weapons, and this is important to know, say that they're never going to use them. They're for deterrence. So they're just deterring other countries with their big guns. It's ridiculous, really, but good to know. So these big guns that are never going to use and that could kill billions, they're probably deciding on that it's still a good idea to renovate them. It's going to cost them, some say, £100 billion. My best cleaning tip here, I'd say let's ban nuclear weapons. We're working on that also, and for the first time it seems like we're actually going to get there. But for now, it's the really, really expensive flower in my bouquet. I do hope it comes with some golden glitter on top. But you see, that's what the world still does. Last year, it spent $1,750 billion on military expenditure. $1,750 billion on the military. Now, I'll give you some more numbers. That's $240 per person on this planet. Or you could say it's 800 years of UN's regular budget. Or as we're here, UN Women budget. It's 2,500 years of UN Women budget. Imagine what we could have done. Imagine what we could have achieved if we were being serious. If we were not just saying that women can be saved, but we're being serious with women's lives and security. Luckily, as I said, I'm not the first person to have thought of this. In the Beijing Platform for Action, it says that we're supposed to reduce military expenditure and use it on promoting women. So, what's my point? My point is, it's not our task to say, can we save women? Who's going to save the women? Our task is to say, change the system. We don't need saving. We need the system to stop being so militarized and naive. We are the realists. It is possible to prevent armed conflict. It is possible to prevent armed conflict. It is possible to stop violence against women. It is possible to end poverty. It would take a fraction of what we're spending on guns. It is possible to bring climate change to a halt. What I'm saying is it's possible to change the world. It's all about priorities. Follow the money. And that is not naive, that is what's realistic. What is naive is still building our global and local security system the same way we've done for the last couple of 100 years. The whole Game of Thrones things, it's not working for us. People and women are still not safe, and it's costing us enormous amounts of money that we're spending on guns, and then cleaning up the shit that guns causes, the suffering and the pollution. And the world is quickly changing. We need to be prepared for new challenges and an ever-evolving pace. We hold the key to building security. You can obviously do your own security analysis. You just did when I started. Um, Women and people who do not buy into this system are organized. They're solving the problems in the shadow of the war. Now we just need to stop picking a whole new bouquet of flowers. I'm telling you, we're already growing them in our backyard. We've got the power, women's power, to stop war. Thank you.